Hey everyone, press any button here and we are back with another part of our run and gun series. Today we're going to focus on what we actually do after we add that character model to our game. So a little bit of the setup for the implementation of that asset. So as you can see here, I have in my scene my character, and I will demonstrate that they are animated so you can see what the final result looks like. See, it's not too janky. I was actually thinking myself that it would be kind of gross animating the character in the way that we will, but it turns out that 2D animation using bones isn't too bad, and you heard me right on that, and you must have heard me in the part before. We are going to be doing 2D animations using bones, just as we've done 3D animations using bones in our other series. Alright, and then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check use layer grouping, and then we're going to apply that and go into our Sprite Editor. Now you might be worried for a second, like, wait, this isn't what I thought it would look like. How are we going to animate from here? Well, I go over to Skinning Editor in this little drop down that you saw me click on there, and there we have our character. Now, how are we going to add bones for our character, you ask? Well, I've become quite the I guess genius at doing this from the amount of times I've been able to get it wrong, and I'll show you in like less than a minute. So I'm going to go to create bone, and you see I get this little gizmo pop up, and I'm just going to create our first bone sort of from the middle of the hips here, the pelvis, and we're going to have like a 3-tiered spine, or maybe 4, maybe I'm a liar. But so to actually get this, you're going to just click once and your gizmo will extend, or your bone will extend. Then click again to get another bone, click again to get another bone, and another bone. And we just keep doing that. When you want to deselect or break the chain of bones that you've made, you're just going to right click, and then that's going to disconnect everything. Now I can see that some of my bones are not quite lined up as I would like them to be. So what I can do is I can just go over to edit bone here, and I can actually move my little nodes. So we're going to move that more in line with the neck. There we are. And then we're going to create some more bone. So we go back to create bone, and here's where it gets a bit jazzy. So you're going to see that I've got like a faded kind of bone coming out of here. This is where we essentially start a new branch, and we're going to parent these things so that they interact with each other as an entire skeleton. Because as you'll see later, sometimes we'll move one thing and another thing won't move. What is essentially happening here is we are saying that this bone is going to be the parent of every subsequent bone that comes off of this one that we're about to create. So I'm going to come down about here. We're going to hit the knee, somewhere about there. And then we're gonna go for that bottom of the leg, come back here, do the ankle, and then the foot. And then we'll do the exact same on the other side. Get that knee, ankle, foot. Great. Now we can also do some stuff with our character's hair. So I added some bones to our character's hair. Yes, that's kind of weird, but you'll see that it actually does work out when we get it sorted. And then I'm going to make some bones coming off of the arms. Pretty much what you want to do is you just want to fill in your character with all of these bones, just as you would with a 3D character. Oh no, we have a dilemma here. we can't quite see what's happening behind our character's torso, their chest here and their jacket for the other arm. What shall we do? Well, if we just double click enough, then it's going to be highlighted for us, and then we go back to edit bone. Oh, not edit bone, go back to create bone, and then follow the shoulder down to the elbow. That's about where the wrist is, and we can make adjustments later if needs be, but I'm probably going to go back to what I made before. But just get an accuracy check on that, and yeah, that seems about right. And then yep, again we can just manipulate, edit these bones, move them around, make sure that we're doing the right thing. And I realized I don't want our character to only, you know, pivot their head on the base of their neck. I want the movement to sort of come from the top of the neck, and maybe the neck can move a little independently. So how are we going to do that? There's a great opportunity for me to use the split bone, and so we're going to create a little bone in the neck there. And then we're going to go to auto geometry, not going to click on anything, and we're going to say generate for all visible. And what auto geometry is going to do, if we go to preview pose, I try to move our character around, look, the bones aren't connected. So it's actually going to give our character a property that will allow it to interact with these bones and not just be a 2D image. Okay, so I'm going to go generate for all visible. And there we are, we've got loads of colors. And what do those colors mean? Well, if you've done a little bit of bone work with me before, you'll remember that colors equal weight for bones. And so now it would seem that our bones are weighted. So if I move this, there we go, our hair moves. If I move this, there we go, our arm moves, but a couple of other things with it. Not quite sure about that. How about the head? Yeah, still okay. It's alright. Not perfect. How are we gonna sort of work this out? So I'm gonna hit reset pose, and then we're going to go to auto weights. We're going to generate weights for everything. That's gonna remain the same as it's already created weights. And then we're gonna go down to bone influence, and this is where it gets interesting. So in bone influence, we are able to say which bones influence which part of the mesh. So you can see that our mesh is actually split up into different parts, and now if I go to the sprite sheet, you can see that those different parts are different little bits of our character, and they're all on different layers. And honestly, I haven't discovered this before, but this also makes it quite easy to figure out which bones we want to use. So if there is a bone that we don't want to use, like this one's just kind of floating out in the aether, and that's not going to really help us out in any way, and then I untoggle sprite sheet and I see, yeah, that's my wrist bone. I don't want that. So we're going to select bone 22, hit minus, and now bone 22 will have no effect on our hip bone. So if and I can even pose my thing here. There we are. Doesn't really make it too simple. All right, so what's sort of bringing that forward? So we're gonna select this mesh here, because that little part belongs to this mesh. And again, it's bone 22. He's causing us issues. So we're going to get rid of bone 22, and then we're going to get rid of bone 19. It's also in the bone influence list, and that's not what we want. And you know what? Yeah, this bone's alright. That'll help us move our entire character, and if we figure out that's not really what we want, then we can make some changes. Okay. So let's try to pose our character a little bit. Legs looking pretty good. Except the lack of rotation on the I guess that lack of rotation was due to the fact that I wasn't actually using the rotation tool, I was actually just moving the leg. So every time you move it around, just hit reset pose. So that's looking pretty good. And is this looking pretty good? Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And so hopefully you get the idea now, guys. In the next episode, we're just going to complete all of this. I'm going to show you how you can rename your bones, how we can organize our character so that certain bones are parents of other bones, which will allow us to move our character in a way that we can actually work with it in a good, efficient, and productive way. Anyway, that's been another Press Any Button tutorial. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Do the good deeds. As you know, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you did feel that this helped you out. But anyway, I will return soon enough. Until then, press on and keep creating.